Science Part 1, Chapter 4, Effects of Electric Current. You're going to learn about energy transfer in electric circuit, heating effects of electric current, and magnetic effects of electric current. Now this is from observe and discuss, but then to this topic, I will just discuss with you. This we had done previously. Okay, what is shown in the diagram? Lamps, television, computer. Okay, along with that, even other electrical items are there like electric fan, electric bell, etc. So which effects of electric current do you find here? You will find the heating effect, magnetic effect, production of light, conversion of electrical energy into mechanical energy, and the conversion of mechanical energy into sound energy in different electrical device. Like for example, in electric bell, you will find that mechanical energy is converted into sound energy, right? Similarly, each and every electrical devices, what they're doing, they are converting one form of energy into other form. Okay, so let us go to the topics one by one. Electric power, right? First topic is about electric power. What is electric power? It is the electric work done per unit time or electric energy used per unit time. Its SI unit is watt, right? How you can write the formula? Power equal to electric work or electrical energy used upon time. Now you know power we are writing as P equal to V into I is equal to I square R is equal to V square upon R, right? So power is nothing but how you can define it? It is a work done per unit time or electrical energy used per unit time, and its unit is watt. Note down student, what is power and what is the unit of power. Now how you can define the watt? If 1 joule of electric work is done per second, okay, so the electric power is 1 watt. So the formula will become 1 watt equal to 1 joule upon 1 second. Okay, now what is the commercial unit of electrical energy? Now how you can commercially, that means in industries and factories. What is the unit? It is kilowatt. Okay, kilowatt hour. I hope PPT is visible to all of you now, students. Okay, 1 second, I will share the screen. Now it is visible now, students? Yes, 1 second. Okay, so here I told you about power, how energy transfer in electric circuit, right? Here I have shown this picture, okay, where you have seen different electronic items like lamps, TV, computer, etc. Where heating effect, magnetic effect, production of light, conversion of electrical energy into mechanical energy, and conversion of mechanical energy into sound take place. Okay, so you might have seen in your electricity bill. Okay, it shows the consumption of units in kilowatt hour and the cost of using the electrical energy. How much energy we are using, that is also written clearly. So you can check your electricity bill. So what is the unit given there? 1 kilowatt hour. So 1 kilowatt hour equal to 3.6 into 10 raised to 6 joules. And it is commonly known as a unit. Okay. Now let us move to Joule's law about heating effect of electric current. This has been done in your class lab lecture, and remember, then we will revise once since there was a long gap. The quantity of heat produced H in a conductor of resistance R when a current I flows through it for a time T is directly proportional to the square of the current, the resistance of the conductor, the time for which the current flows. So how you can write the formula? H equal to I square RT. Okay. So that will be equal to VIT. That will be, again you can substitute and write V square T upon R. Now V is what? Potential difference. I is a current which is expressed in amperes. R is what? Resistance in ohms. And T is a time in seconds. And you know 1 calorie is how many joule? 4.18 joules. Right? So how you can convert this into calories. That means the formula will change. H equal to I square RT divided by 4.18. Okay. So that equal to VIT upon 4.18. So you can write V square T upon 4.18, right? So the working of electric bulb, electric iron, fuse wire, etc. is based on the heating effect of electric current. Okay. So when an electric current is passed through an electric resistor or any conductor, heat is produced in it. Passage of electric current through a conductor produces magnetic field around it. And this effect is called as magnetic effect of electric current. And the person who discovered it was Hans Christian Ørsted. And the unit of intensity of magnetic field, Ørsted, is named after him. So it is Ørsted. Now let us move to right hand thumb rule. What is right hand thumb rule? Imagine that you have held a current carrying straight conductor in your hand in such a way that your thumb points in the direction of the current. Okay. So then turn your fingers around the conductor. The direction of the fingers is the direction of the magnetic lines of force produced by the current. So that is called as right hand thumb rule. Now you can see in the diagram how it is shown that the person is carrying what? A conductor, and the thumb is in the direction of the current. Okay. And the fingers, other four fingers, which is turned around the conductor, that shows the direction of the fingers is showing nothing but the magnetic lines of force produced by the current. Okay, so that is called right hand thumb rule. I hope everyone is able to understand what I'm explaining. Yes? All of you understood what is right hand thumb rule? Okay, fine. Let us move back to the PPT, students. Now, what is the magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor called? The intensity of magnetic field produced at a given point. Okay, it will be directly proportional to the current passing through the conductor. The intensity of the magnetic field produced by a given current in the conductor decreases as the distance between the conductor increases. If you're increasing the distance, what will happen to the intensity of magnetic field? It will get reduced. It will decrease. So that is the effect of magnetic field due to a current carrying a conductor. Magnetic field due to current through a circular loop of a conducting wire. Right? So here the intensity of the magnetic field due to a current through a circular loop of a conducting wire is maximum at the center of the loop. Okay, you will always find that the center of the loop, in the center of the loop, maximum current is flowing. In the case of circular coil, if you're taking a circular coil like this way, Okay. So in the coil, what happens in the case of circular coil, the magnetic field is proportional to the number of turns of the coil. You can see number of turns in the coil. Okay, if there are n turns in the loop, the magnetic field produced will be n times that produced by a single loop. Okay, so that way the it it keeps on changing. The magnetic field is directly proportional to the number of turns of the coil. Now you can see here a solenoid. What is solenoid? When a copper wire with a resistive coating is wound in a chain of loops like a spring, it is called a solenoid. I repeat, what is a solenoid? When a copper wire with a resistive coating means what? The copper wire will be covered by a plastic or any other coating, okay, wound in a chain of loops. You can see in the diagram how they're wound like a spring, okay. So it is called a solenoid, right? Now what is magnetic field due to current in a solenoid? The magnetic field lines due to current in a solenoid are similar to those in the case of a bar magnet, right? It will be similar like a bar magnet. Current carrying solenoid behaves like a bar magnet. With it, we can magnetize iron and some alloys. So if you'll use solenoid in place of bar magnet, what will happen? It will behave like a magnet, okay? Because it can magnetize iron, it can magnetize some metals, it can magnetize even alloys. So magnetic field lines due to the current in a solenoid are similar to those in the case of a bar magnet, okay? Now what is the force on a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field? A current carrying conductor is acted upon by a force when placed in a magnetic field. The magnitude of this force depends on the current, the magnetic field, and the length of the conductor. Okay, so the direction of the force, how it will depend? It will depend on the direction of the current and the field. The force is maximum when the direction of current is at right angles to the direction of the magnetic field. The force will be zero when the current and the field have the same direction or opposite direction. So that is about the force of on a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. So students, now here you have seen the coiled coil and solenoid type coil, right? You can also see here two more pictures where we are using the coil of a cooker and coil of a heater. Okay, so these all things are covered, right? And what is the uses of coil? It can be used even in electric bulb, right? So you can see the picture of electric bulb where solenoid type coil is used. There is a glass support, glass bulb is shown. Vacuum nitrogen gas is filled in the bulb and a screw cap is there. Okay, so these all are used. Now in a coil is made up of alloy called nichrome, and it is used in electric heat cooker as a resistor, while a tungsten wire is used in an electric bulb. Okay, so because of the current, this wire gets heated up and emits the light. So in this way, light emits in the electric bulb. The hot wire also radiates heat to a certain extent. So you can find the use of coil. It is very useful in electric bulb, solenoid type of coil. So here you will find that solenoid type of coil is placed. Okay, so that coil will get heated up when you will start the bulb. Okay, because of the current, this wire gets heated, right? And it starts emitting light, right? And the light radiates. The hot wire radiates the heat to a certain extent. That's you'll if you touch the electric bulb when it is when it is on. So what your fingers gets burned, right? You might have heard of short circuit. What is short circuit, students? Several times we hear or read that building is catching fire because of short circuit. Okay. Sometimes if we switch on equipment in our house, like electric fuse wire melts, right? and the electric supply will shut down. So the home, you should know that there are three types of wire: live wire, neutral wire, and earth wire. Okay, live and neutral wire have the potential difference of 220 volt, and the earth wire is connected to the ground. So if there is fault in the equipment, or if the plastic coating on the live and neutral wire gives way, the two wires will come in contact with each other. And when two wires will come in contact, you know what will happen? Large current will flow. Okay. And through it, if the large current flows, what will happen? Large amount of heat will be produced. So if any inflammable material like wood or cloth or plastic, if you are keeping it nearby or excess nearby, it will catch fire immediately. So what we have to use for precautionary measure? What we can use here, students? Anybody? Put the answer in the chat box. What we should use? Yes, very good. Om Karkera has given the correct answer, fuse. Very good, Om. We had to use a fuse wire as a precautionary measure. Okay. So that we can prevent the this fire from short circuit. Okay. So we have learned that fuse wire in your pre-standard also you have studied about it, right? So as soon as high current flows in a circuit, what happens? The fuse wire will melt and breaks the circuit, and any accident, mishap and all that can be avoided. So that's why, you know, in summer season, we are using lot of electric power. Fans, lights, air conditions, everything will be kept on. Even in shops also, they are using electricity continuously. So what happens? Excessive current is flowing from the transformer, right? And the capacity of transformer will be when it becomes insufficient. Its fuse wire starts melting. Okay. When the fuse wire starts melting, what happens? The supply gets shut down immediately. So such events occur due to overloading. What we call such process as overloading. Okay. So there are different types of fuses. I will show you from the PPT, students. Wait for a while. So these are the MCB, that is miniature circuit breakers. Okay. These are the switches used in homes. When the current in the circuit suddenly increases, this switch will open and the current stops. So different types of MCBs are in use. For entire house, usually what we use? Fuse wire. Okay. So even this one, these are the also different types of fuses in use, right? But in our house, we are using this one, that is miniature circuit breakers. Okay, you can check in your house which type of fuse is used, right? So that is about some knowledge about the fuse. Now let us move to the Fleming's left hand rule. What is Fleming's left hand rule? The left hand thumb, index finger and the middle finger are stretched so as to be perpendicular to each other. If the index finger is in the direction of the magnetic field and the middle finger points in the direction of the current, then the direction of the thumb is the direction of the force on the conductor. Okay, so that is called as Fleming's left hand rule. That means what? Even we can try now. Okay, you have to open your left hand. All of you do that. Wherever you are sitting, open your left hand, open your thumb, open your index finger and open your middle finger. Okay, as shown in the diagram. Yes, all have done it. Okay, now remember in this way. Okay, when you're stretching it, how it should be perpendicular to each other, correct? So index finger means what? It is the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, so this is the direction of the magnetic field, correct? Middle finger points in the direction of the current. So this is the direction of the current. The direction of the thumb is the direction of the force of the conductor. So this is the direction of the force of the conductor. So this is how Fleming explained us how what is this Fleming's left hand rule? Okay. So according to this rule, left hand thumb, index finger and middle finger, they are stretched in perpendicular to each other. Okay. So this was an experiment conducted, and we consider the direction of electric current and direction of magnetic field, and found that the direction of the force exerted is perpendicular to both. So it is a simple rule relating to three direction, and this rule what we call it as Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, so remember this. Now next is about electric motor. Electric motor is nothing but it is a device which converts, okay, which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. Okay, what is electric motor doing? It is converting electrical energy into which energy, students? Mechanical energy. So how it works? It works on the principle that a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field experiences a force. That means if you're keeping a conductor which is where current is passing, okay, so that time the magnetic field is experiences what? A force. Okay, so that is how the electric motor works. Now what is the use of this electric motor? You can see the electric motor in the PPT, right? Now electric motor is mainly used in a mixer, a blender, refrigerator, washing machine, electric fan, tape recorder, hair dryer, record player, blower, electric car, rolling mill, electric crane, electric lift, electric train, computer and pump, and etc. etc. Many appliances are there where we use the electric motor. Okay, so you should remember few appliances or few devices where we use the electric motor. Now what all things are there, okay, in electric motor? How the circuit diagram is, okay, what is the principle and working of electric motor? The electric motor consists of rectangular loop. You can see here the rectangular loop. Okay, so this is a rectangular loop, right? So as shown the diagram, it is placed between the north pole and the south pole of a magnet. You can see the north pole and the south pole. Okay, so it is placed between both in such a way that its branches AB and CD are perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. So this is AB, this is CD. Both should be perpendicular to each other. The two ends of the loop are connected to the two halves X and Y of the split ring. So you can see X and Y over here. These are the split rings. Okay. Two halves of the ring have resistive coating on the inner surface and are tightly fitted on the axle. The two halves of the split ring X and Y have the outer conducting surface in contact with the two stationary carbon brushes E and F. Okay, so here you can find E and F. Okay, so that is nothing but carbon brush. When the circuit is completely completed as shown in the figure, what happens? The current starts flowing. Okay, how the current starts flowing? In the branch A and B. Okay, first it will start from here. Okay, from A to B through the carbon brush E and F. Since the direction of the magnetic field is from north to south pole. Okay, according to Fleming's left-hand rule, a force is exerted on the branch AB and pushes it down. So the current in the CD branch is in an opposite direction to that of AB branch. What you will find? It AB, if the flow of current in AB is in right direction, the flow of current in CD will be in left direction. That means what? Both will be in opposite direction. Okay. So the loop and the axle starts rotating in an anti-clockwise direction. After half rotation, the two halves of the split ring X and Y come in contact. Okay. So therefore, what is exerted? A force is exerted. Okay. On the branch DC. A force will be exerted in this branch DC in the downward direction and on the branch BA in the upward direction. So you'll find that the force will be exerted in opposite direction. So what you can say, current in the loop is reversed now. After each half rotation, what happens? the current gets reversed and the loop and the axle continue to rotate in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this is how the electric motor works. Correct? Okay, PPT is not visible, students. Nobody can see PPT. But I shared the PPT, students. Visible, no? Some of the students are saying it is not visible. Yes, it was visible. Have you understood the working principle and working of electric motor? This was already done, I feel, in some of the division. Okay. So I will be asking few questions after completing this lesson. Okay, don't worry. Okay. So that time again it will be revised. Very good, Kushi. Force acting on a current carrying conductor, magnetic field is left. Very good. Okay, you all are answering also in between. But when I'm explaining, don't type in the chat box. Okay, so that you will be properly attentive only in the lecture. Don't use the chat box unnecessarily. If I'll ask any question, you can immediately give the answer. Okay. So that was about electric motor, and the uses I already explained you where we are using the electric motors like mixer, blender, refrigerator, washing machine, fan, okay, hair dryer, etc., etc. So many appliances are given. Any of the few you can remember. Now next topic is about electromagnetic induction. Right? What is electromagnetic induction? Now, electromagnetic induction, the process by which a changing magnetic field in a conductor induces a current in another conductor is called as electromagnetic induction. Okay, so when the magnetic field is changing, okay, so that time what happens, the current is induced in another conductor. So that is called as electromagnetic induction. A current can be induced in a conductor either by moving it in a magnetic field or by changing the magnetic field around the conductor. So both the way you can do it, right? Electromagnetic induction, who discovered it? The person who discovered it was Michael Faraday in the year 1831. Okay, and then independently by even Joseph Henry in 1830. So that is the short information about this electromagnetic induction. And then next topic is about galvanometer. Now galvanometer, actually this is not there for your portion. It has been reduced in 25% portion, but then too I will just give us little information about galvanometer. Okay, just remember. Okay, what is this galvanometer? Because in practicals you might have used it last year. This galvanometer is nothing but a sensitive instrument. Okay, used to detect the presence of current in a circuit. If you want to detect whether current is flowing through the circuit, you have to use what? Galvanometer. It is used for some electrical measurements. The deflection of its pointer is usually proportional to the current. The deflection is on either side of the zero mark at the center of the scale, depending on the direction of the current. Okay, so galvanometer can be modified suitably to measure the current, as in an ammeter, potential difference as in a voltmeter. So in this way you can use a galvanometer, right? So that is about galvanometer. Next is Faraday's law of induction. Now Faraday's law of induction. Whenever the number of magnetic lines of force passing through a coil changes, the current is induced in the coil. Okay, so here you will be learning I already told you about this one, Faraday's, Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, now we will be starting with Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so I think that you can refer the diagram, page number 58, right? Fleming's right hand rule. What you have to do here, stretch the thumb, the index finger and the middle finger. okay, of your right hand. Previously, which was, it was left hand. This is left hand. Similarly, you can do for your right hand in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other. In this position, the thumb indicates again the direction of motion of the conductor. Index finger, the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. And the middle finger shows the direction of the induced current. Okay. So all the three I mentioned once again. I'll repeat. Thumb is for what? Motion of the conductor. Okay. Your thumb is indicating the direction of motion of the conductor. Index finger, the direction of the magnetic field. Okay. And the middle finger for what? The direction of the induced current. Okay. So that is about Fleming's right hand rule. Right. Okay. Now listen, students. Now now our next topic is related to alternating current and direct current. Now this topic also has been reduced from your portion. Okay. But then too we will have a little glance over that topic just for your knowledge. AC means what? Alternating current. DC means what? Direct current. So you had done this in a previous class. What is direct current and what is alternating current? If a current is changing in magnitude and direction, equal intervals, okay, then we call it as the alternating current. Okay. Suppose if the current flowing in one direction in a circuit from cell to cell, that time what we call it as a direct current. So direct current can increase, can be stable or can reduce also. But it will not be oscillatory, right? So in graphically, if you will check, it's given alternating current is oscillatory. Okay. So it will be maximum, then it will be reduced to 0, and then it increases to maximum in the other direction. Okay. So in that way, the oscillation of alternating current occurs in a sinusoidal manner with time. So sinusoidal manner means what? Up and down, oscillatory motion. Okay. So symbol is also like a wave. You can see the symbol over there. Okay. So direct current flows in one direction, but the alternating current will flow in periodic manner. So that is the difference between DC and AC. Okay. So in one cycle in forward and in reverse direction, right? So in our country, the power station generating electricity, one cycle changes in 1/50 seconds. Okay. So the frequency of AC is 50 Hertz. That means what? 50 Hertz means what? 50 cycles per second. Okay. So when the power is transmitted over a long distance, it is beneficial to have it in AC form, right? As a result, what happens? Minimum power loss during transmission. So our home supply, we all are using what? Alternating current, AC current. Okay. So you can see in the graph alternating current, it is shown over there, right? So that way you can use it. Okay. You also learned about the precautions to be taken while using the electricity. Okay. Can anybody put in the chat box what all precautions we should use when we are using the electricity? Come on, give the answers using chat box, public chat. Precautions to be taken while using electricity. Wearing rubber footwear. Correct, Om Karkera. Very good. Wearing rubber footwear. It is good. Never touch the switch with wet hand. Very good, Nikita Karkera. Do not put wet hand on the switch. Very good, Hiral. Okay, so different answers I am getting. Neeraj is asking what is DC? DC means what? Direct current. I told you. Suppose if non-oscillatory current is flowing in one direction in a circuit from cell to cell, what we call it as direct current from one cell to other cell. So that time we call it as DC, direct current. Okay. I hope Neeraj understood. Yes. Yes, correct, Neha. Your answer is also correct. Damaged insulators or all this we should not use. frequency of DC. What is frequency of DC? Okay. So frequency, I told you how the direct current, how it flows. Okay, the oscillation of this current. This shows the frequency, how frequently the current flows. Correct? Okay. Now let us move to the last topic. Then we will have a quick evaluation, right? Then that time you can even ask your clear your doubts, students. Last topic is about electric generator. Okay, like we are done for electric motor, we have to learn the working principle and working of electric generator. So let us move to that, students. Okay, so now you can see page number 60 in your textbook shows electric generator. Correct? Electric generator is shown over there. Copper wire coil ABCD is used for this. Correct? So now what is this electric generator? First let me tell you what happens here. We are using the same principle of converting the mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is used to rotate the current carrying the coil in a magnetic field around the axle, and thereby what is produced? Electricity is produced. So we can see coil over there, ABCD. Okay, where that is kept between two poles of the magnet. Okay, this diagram is almost similar, right? I will show you the diagram. 1 second. Let me share my PPT. Okay, so now here what ABCD you can see, so kept, that is nothing but the coil, copper wire coil. Okay, and the two magnets are kept between north and south pole. Okay, so and you can see also two ends of the coil are connected to the conducting rings R1 and R2. How? Through the carbon brushes. Okay, so both the rings are fixed to the axle, but there is a resistive coating in between the ring and the axle. So the axle is rotated with the help of a machine from outside, right? So because of this, the coil ABCD starts rotating. The stationary carbon brushes, that is B1 and B2, are connected to a galvanometer. So here we are using this galvanometer, which I just explained you. What is the use of galvanometer? It's a very sensitive instrument, and it measures what? It measures it detects the current, right? Whether the current is flowing or not, right? So galvanometer will show the direction of the current in the circuit. Upon rotating this axle, the branch AB goes up, branch CD will go down. Okay, so in this way, the coil ABCD rotates in clockwise direction. So according to Fleming's right hand rule, which I just explained you now, what is Fleming's right hand rule? So according to that rule, electric current is produced in the branches AB and CD. So in both the branches AB and CD, electric current is produced. Okay, in the direction what? From A to B and from C to D. So the current flows in the direction A, B, C, D. Okay, in the external circuit, the current flows from B2 to B1. So you can see in the external circuit, current is flowing from point B2 to point B1. You can also look the circuit diagram of this, which is given in textbook page number 60. Okay, so if instead of one loop coil, a coil consisting of several turns is used, the current of magnitude several times flows. That means what? If we are using the changing the coil, instead of one loop, if you are using coil of several turns, what happens to the current? Current will also flow several times. So after half rotation, the branch AB takes the place of branch CD, and branch CD will take the position of branch AB. So therefore, the induced current goes from point D to point C, from B to point A. That means what? In this direction, the induced current is flowing in this direction. Can you see in the PPT, students, how the induced current will be flowing from D to C, then C to B, and then B to A. So, but the branch BA is always in contact with the brush B1, and the branch DC in the contact with B2. Okay, so So hence in the external circuit, current flows from B1 to B2. That is what in the opposite direction, opposite to the previous half rotation. This will keep on repeating after every half rotation and AC current is produced. So that is why what which is called as AC generator. So what we call this in generator, students? AC generator. Okay. So now that is about AC generator. Now you might be thinking, what is DC generator? Now what is DC generator? What is the difference here? DC does not change the direction of the in the external circuit. To achieve this, a split ring is fixed on the axle, like a split ring used in electric motor. We have seen one split ring in electric motor. So that will be used in DC generator. Okay. So to achieve this, a split ring is used. Because of this arrangement, the branch of the coil going upwards is always in contact with one brush, and the branch going downwards is always in contact with the other brush. Okay. So hence the current flows in one direction in the electric external circuit. So this is why this generator, what we call it as DC generator. Okay. So that is about the DC generator. Now we have studied about AC generator, we have studied about DC generator, right? So now let us see what is the difference between them, correct? Now let us study how they differ from each other. Okay. Now AC generator, if we'll say, because some of the students are having, they are asking me some questions, so I'll clear it out. In AC generator, what is done? Rings used are not split, right? Whereas in DC generator, the rings are split. We have to split the rings, right? We have to use what? Split rings. Next difference is what? The direction of the current produced reverses after equal intervals of time. Whereas in DC generator, what happens? The current produced flows in the same direction all the time. Okay. So that is the difference between direct current and alternating current. Okay. So direct current flows only in one direction. Alternating current will reverse its direction periodically with time. So we can direct current, we cannot use for large scale of electricity production like in household and all. Okay. It cannot be used for large scale of electricity for household purpose. Whereas alternating current is how it is used in household electrical appliances such as electric heater, electric iron, electric refrigerator, etc. Now how you can compare electric motor and electric generator? I can compare the electric motor with electric generator. In electric motor, what we are using, a battery is used in an electric motor for what? To pass a current through the coil. Okay. Whereas in electric generator, a battery is not used. Okay. So we are using the that is the first difference. Okay. Battery is used in electric motor, whereas in generator we are not using any battery. In electric motor, current carrying coil is set in rotation due to the magnetic field. Okay. Whereas in generator, potential difference is created and hence current is produced when the coil is set into rotation in the magnetic field by an external agent. Okay. Again, as I told you, split rings, where it is used in electric motor. Okay. Split rings are used in electric motors, whereas in AC generator, we are not using that. Rings used in AC generator are not split. Okay. So that is the main difference between motor and generator. Okay. In case of electric motor, you can say electric energy is converted into mechanical energy. There which energy we are getting? Mechanical energy. Whereas in electric generator, what happens? Mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. Okay. Okay, Kushi is asking, what is Faraday's laws of induction? Okay, Kushi, once again, we are going to revise during evaluation. Wait for a while. I'll clear your doubt. Faraday's laws of induction. Okay, this I explained. I think some of you have not attended properly. Wait. Now, what is Faraday's law of induction? Suppose if current is switched on or off, okay, in a solenoid coil, what happens? The current is induced in the coil. So such an induction is also observed when the current in the solenoid coil is increased or decreased. So when you're increasing or decreasing the current, that time also you will find this, that a current is induced in the coil. Okay. And the current induced in the coil when it is moved aside from the front of the coil, from the front of the solenoid. So from these experiments, what you can understand that whenever the number of magnetic lines of force passing through that coil changes, okay, so that time current is induced in the coil. So whenever the current is induced in the coil, what we call that as Faraday's law of induction. Understood, Kushi? I hope Kushi Shukla, you understood. What is Faraday's law of induction? Okay, so the current produced in the coil is called as induced current. What we call that current as induced current. Once again, I'll explain what happens if the current is switched on or off. In the solenoid coil, a current is induced in the coil, correct? So that time such an induction you can observe even when the current in the solenoid coil is increased or decreased. So current is induced in the coil, correct? So when it will moving aside from front of the solenoid. So what you can say, whenever the number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil changes, the current is induced in the coil. And what we call this process, this is nothing but Faraday's law of induction. What we call it as Faraday's law of induction. And the current produced in this coil, what we call it as induced current. Okay. So that is about Faraday's law of induction. Okay. So students, now let me ask you some questions